Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we got a great show of experience for you. Miesha Johnston is going to be here. She's intuitive. She's an author. She's an experiencer of the unknown. Her story and more coming up next on the mighty SOR. And Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon. But best of all for tonight, we have each and every one of you. Who do we have? Well, let's take a little peeky-poo here, shall we? We have Fast Hemi in the gold medal position, race fan moving up to a silver, attorney at large Michael Morris with a bronze medal tonight. Kitty Caddywhack, how are you tonight? Kurt M., thanks for coming on in. Trucker Andrew and David Norenberg, nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining us. Frankie B. and Robert Lamoth, thank you for joining us. Bert Hollix, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for coming on in. Necessary Dialogue and Mama Catherine. I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you have yourself a great night. Mama Catherine will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show about aliens nice and smooth. Thank you, Mel, for your attention to the lube. Appreciate that. Little Cam on YouTube. 1,500 push-ups in 15 minutes. He was jacked for tonight's show. Absolutely jacked. We appreciate it. Gory Tiger in the studio. And Linda, thank you all for coming on in. Jaquetta, how are you tonight? Bar Madison, thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call here. Luscious Jules, you look great in your Merle shirt. You really do. I sent Merle the picture. Yep, he's going to love it. Gonna love it. All right. Jose Sanchez, how are you doing? Bobbert Gray, nice to have you here. Operation Shutdown and Les Paul Holland. Nice to see you both. Little Timmy James. All right. Let's go to number 77 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. There he is. Good morning to you, Lars. And Thomas Rock, good to see you as well. Eternity Eternal, just another guy named Harry. Good to have you both here. Roll call continues. Who is next? Skip Tamalu. Good morning to you, my dear. Hope you're having a great morning. J. True Seeker, good to see you. Undead Jed and Walter Kochabinski. Walter will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Nina Williams, thank you for coming on in. Al Garay on Twitch. 1,238 jumping jacks at 4 minutes to warm up for tonight's show. Good job, buddy. Good job. Alien Critter, nice to see you. Space Case, thanks for coming back. And Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Alien Believers, nice to see you. I'm Hardcore on X. Lynn60 from Illinois, welcome to SOR Chat. Rock and Rory, thank you for joining us. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Lacey Blue. Nice to see you, my dear. And who is next on our list? Bob Thor, Runa, good to have you both here. Pam Harris, nice to see you. Matthew Gutka, Digger Dog, Carol Amario, thank you for joining us. Okay, scrolling on down. Who's next here? Ozzy, good to see you, my man. And who is up? Louisville Charlie, how you doing, my man? Good to see you. T-Bone, there you are. Yep, the pride of New Westminster, British Columbia's first ever capital. Good to see you, T-Bone. Thank you for joining us, buddy. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in for Misha Johnson. We're going to get into all sorts of ET contact tonight. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. I promise you that. And, of course, we're in roll call right here on our YouTube channel. I think we're caught up, to be honest. Oh, there's Tim Mothman and his goatee, two separate entities. Yep, the goatee has its own area code, too. All right, now I think we're caught up. Yes, we are. Super Chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. And Tim James and I would like to thank you all because we just hit 9,000 views on our latest video. There's one more coming here soon, I promise you. Scott Rosen, how are you? Horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods. We're together, my friends. Oh, no. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Jive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Jive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're in for an amazing treat tonight. The legendary Misha Johnson is here to talk about aliens, ET contact, MILABs, her books, and everything in between with contact from those from the sky. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for a spooky story. We're going to follow that up with something a little bit different. Robin Haynes is taking the night off to deal with some family matters. So the man we call B. Arthur, Brent Thomas, will be here from Paranormal Portal Podcast to join us in hour 3 tonight. Let's get right to it because I love it when Misha Johnson is on this show. It's been a couple of years, but I'm so glad she is here. Misha is a prominent ufologist, certified hypnotherapist, and abductee who spent over 3 decades exploring the darkest corners of extraterrestrial and mind control mysteries. A third-generation experiencer, Misha recounts encounters with 8 different alien species, ranging from the Greys and Mantids to reptilians and Draconians, as well as involvement in MILAB and MK-Ultra-style programs that included 2 8-month periods of missing time and even a marriage she cannot recall. Since 1990, she's founded and led the Star Family Contactee support group, later expanded to include the first teen and children's contactee groups in the United States, and remains active in support work through in-person Zoom meetings in Las Vegas and beyond. I love it when she is here. I'm very happy to bring her on. Misha Johnson, it has been so long, way too long since we've had you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Dave, for having me on the show.
You know, the one thing I love about going to Vegas or going to UFO Con in San Francisco is that I always get to see you and give you a big hug. I love that.
I love those hugs. You give great hugs. Everybody, boy, does he give great hugs.
I do. I do because I'm big and burly. So that way I got a lot of meat to wrap around to keep you warm. That's what it is. That's what it is. You know, how you been?
Oh, been good, good. I'm getting better every day from my recent, shall we say, Project Oblivion attack.
Oh, what happened there?
Well, you do know what Project Oblivion is, or do you know?
No,
We haven't. Okay,
no,
so
fill us in.
of course, as a hypnotherapist, I have a certain client named Olivia James. She's a remote viewer when she goes. When I put her in session, she remote views, and she'll go to a CIA center. She'll go up in secret space and go into the files. She used to work up there in the in that era she was a kind of, I guess, she worked in the office interviewing people and things like that. So when she was in the secret space for one of her jobs. And so she has this ability now, of course, to do this. And so I put her in session, and we were just looking to see what was new, what was going on. And sometimes we get the different CAA or like, shall we say, Men in Black, people like that will come in and communicate with her, and they'll communicate through her. So, and then I ask her the questions, but they communicate through her, and I ask them the questions. So this one time last year, latter part of last year, I think it was like probably around August or so. We went in and went to a off-planet, shall we say, CIA, something like that post. Ended up talking to a CIA fellow, and he immediately started getting really nasty. Now remember, she's talking it, okay, but it isn't her. She's remote viewing what he's saying, okay. So he got really surly with me, and I said, what are you doing here? And you're not supposed to be here, and blah blah blah. And I'm not. And I started asking him questions, or her questions, but asking him questions. And I said, so who are you? And he says, I'm of no concern name-wise to you. And I said, okay. Are you one of the letter agencies? I am. And I said, so why did you come through? Do you have something to say? And he says, I absolutely do. I want to tell you, this has gone too far. You people need to, basically, I'm going to paraphrase. I can't do it word for word, but you people need to stop what you're doing. It says, for decades, everything people talked about was in the realms of non-belief. People didn't believe. People laughed at it. But now, all of a sudden, you people are making sense, and you're making sense to people, and people are waking up, and that's not supposed to happen. And he said, and he went on in that kind of realm, saying things like that. And then he said, but we have plans for all of you, and you'll be seeing Project Oblivion, and it's very, very soon. And I said, what is Project Oblivion? He said, well, that's the project that is going to shut your lot of swear words, blank, blank, blank swear words, your mouths. And he's once and for all. People cannot trust you, and they're trusting you, and that can't be. He said, we're anybody who's speaking is going to be attacked. They're going to be attacked. What you might call psychotronically, we're going to be attacked. They may get diseases, they may get sick, things like that. He's going through different scenarios of that. And then he says, this has got to stop. Your movement has to end, and we will make sure that happens. And again, some surly words he said to her and I. And then he said, I said, well, what are you doing? He says, oh, you'll see. You'll see. And he said it like 3 times. You'll see. And he said, I'm trying to get the exact word he said. He said, so those of you speaking out are going to be punished. That's what it was. You're going to be punished. Those who are speaking at conferences, you're going to get punished. Those of you on your podcasts, those of you writing books, you're going to be punished. And to help you understand, you will know when it happens. So now that ended. Okay, we were, talked this over and said, wow, this is a little crazy. This is wild. Well, then we went to another section where we went and we talked to what would probably be somebody from an Earth future, but not a particularly our future, but a parallel future that they did make Project Oblivion work really well. And this man came through who was from the Resistance, and he said things are really bad here now. He said Project Oblivion destroyed us. It took all of the people out talking and speaking, and and put some, killed some, stopped some, turned some, and he's talking about all the different ways that Project Oblivion just ruined them, and how they're in control now. And he said, if you don't change your future, we're going to be the worst, in the worst place that we've ever been, or something to that respect. And so that was the last conversation with him. And then we had a passed on loved one of hers came through and said, we see here from this side that you will definitely win. Project Oblivion will not take hold, and you will win. You have to be strong. You have to be stand in your sovereignty and in your power, and it will not happen. So right after that session, I was at a UFO, actually a UFO cruise. It was a UFO cruise, and I was speaking at the cruise. Long story short, there was strange things that happened there. But one of the worst things was something came in my cabin when I was unpacking my luggage, came in my cabin and virtually gave me one big shove push, and I was pushed down, and I did not want to fall into my suitcase because I knew it was I just bought new suitcases, and they were the hard, firm type, and I knew it would have injured me a lot. So I tried to fall alongside of it, and I ended up twisting my back really bad. And I was to speak not the next day, but the next morning after that, and I couldn't even get out of bed. And so that day I went to the jacuzzi to try to see if I could get some pain. And I was going to see if there was any doctors, anybody that could help me. While I was in the jacuzzi, I looked up, and of course the universe always takes care of us. I looked up, and there was a massage. And I thought, oh, well, a massage would help. A masseuse would help. So I walked up after the jacuzzi, and I was just about to talk to this masseuse, and I was explaining what happened, and in over walks a what do you call it? Oh no, acupuncture. I'd never done acupuncture before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was an acupuncture and doctor, and so he said, "Oh, I know, I can help you. I can help you." So I had to buy a package of 3, in order to a package of 3 visits. And it's expensive, but you got to do it, what you got to do. So he worked on me, and acupuncture worked really well. I was able to at least walk by then. And now that I took one more easy night, because next day I was supposed to do my lecture in the morning, and at night I was going to do a night vision tour. I was doing night vision tours with my night vision goggles up on the deck, And so I knew I had to get better. So I went to my lecture time, and I went in, and the videographer, he was setting me up with my mic and everything. And I said, could I have a chair, because I can't even stand really for very long. And I just kind of briefly told him what happened. He says, I have a brace, you could borrow it if you wanted to. I mean, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So I did. I went back in the bathroom and put his brace on underneath my clothes. And so thank God I had that brace, because it helped me so much. And then with all the acupuncture. Now, it was oddly enough that 3 other people were injured either before that cruise or on that cruise. One man was supposed to be on the cruise, and as he was packing, he fell and he messed up his knee, so he could not walk, so he couldn't come. Another woman on the cruise was pushed too and fell, and she really was injured badly that she had to get off at one of the ports and fly back home. And then another man was pushed, but luckily he was within a group of people, and I guess it kind of helped break his fall, and he kind of slid on the slick tile. So it was very obvious. We were all talking. Stephen Bassett was the one that was not injured, so I don't have the permission from that about saying about the other people. But Stephen Bassett said, I don't know what I tripped on. It didn't feel like there was anything there, but I guess I tripped. But then later on, when we all talked, he realized, no, they were attacking us. Well, it was the worst cruise I've ever been on for all kinds of strange things. They kept people out of our exhibit hall. I mean, it was like as if there was a iron gate there and nobody could see us. We were all talking about, where are the people? We there's people in there listening to the lectures, but they aren't coming in here. And it was the strangest conference we've ever had. So
Oh my.
I know that they did that. And then, of course, in February, I was attacked, and it was a psychotronic attack, because it came out of nowhere. And within like 3 or 4 days, I was drinking water because I was dying of thirst. I was drinking like 10 of these a day, this size a day. And I still wasn't, and I didn't know what it was. Well, in the meantime, after I came back from that cruise, in January, I had gone to, actually it was it wasn't January. It was in February. It was in February. And I'd had some blood work done. And it was right about the time that all of this stuff started happening, and I just didn't understand what was going on. And so I went to the doctor and had blood work. And long story short, I get a contact from her about a week later. Actually, it was more like 2 weeks later. And she says, you have to get into the hospital immediately. You are severely anemic. And I said, oh, I did miss a thing. When I went to the doctor, she had me go to a GI doctor. And at the GI doctor, they told me I was anemic, but they didn't say it was severe. They just said, you're anemic. You really need to do something about that. But they didn't say anything. So anyway, I ended up having this anemia, going into the hospital. I had to have blood transfusions. I found out that I had a hole in my colon. And after tests and then final colonoscopy and what the upper oscopy, they found out that I had stage 3 cancer, or I had cancer cells. I didn't find it out there. It was until stage 3 until later. So I had another blood transfusion in order to have a surgery. They took out a foot of my colon, and then I went on my own healing journey, because I would never have chemotherapy, even though they sent me to a oncologist. am doing my own protocol that another fine naturopathic doctor is helping me with. So, yeah, so they are doing that. And since then, I've talked to some about other people that are out there talking. They've been in the hospitals, several hospital visits from different people. There's something happening. So I just want everyone to have their power tools up and ready and protect themselves. Since then, I have, and I know that my cancer is going away. I'm positive of that. So yeah, that's a long story. Sorry, but I wanted to tell you. Asked me how I was doing. That's how I am. But now I am feeling fantastic. I changed my diet. No sugar, no carbs, because
good.
Cancer, eats up that stuff, and I'm feeling fantastic.
For you, the experience of a lifetime, as we got about 3 minutes to go here before we go to break, Miesha, is having ET contact.
Yes.
A lot of people may have it. They may not know they have it. A lot of people have come public about it. I'm public about mine. You're public about yours. Going back in time, why did you decide to go public with your answer? 3 minutes to go.
Oh, it was the only thing I could do. I had been silent since I learned that, I had ET experiences. I kept to myself. Actually, it happened after I told some kids in my school that I had ET experiences. And what I got for that was being chased home every night and beat up and bullied about it. So you learn really quick. You keep your mouth shut. Back in the 60s, 50s, early 60s, you keep your mouth shut about ET experiences. So I did from then on, and I shut up about it. But my galactics in 1990 told me I had to start support groups. And I don't have enough time to tell you about that whole story, but basically what they did was they came to me 3 different times because I brought in speakers to my home, to my city, and they came in each time. I had a speaker and we had the audience. They'd say to me, "It's time for you to start a support group." And I said, "Oh no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about support groups. No." And then the next month was another thing, another nice little message. And then this third month, there was a woman talking about being terrified of her abduction experiences. And they said to me, "It is now time to start your support group." So I told them at the end of the not conference, but the lecture, that I would be starting a support group, and I started it then in 1990. Kind of 3 minutes.
You have talked over the years to hundreds of people who've had amazing experiences. You've dedicated your life to this topic.
I have.
Why do that? Why is that important to you? As we got about a minute to go.
It's my mission. It's why I came here. That's what I'm here to do. I have really no other choice. When you have a galactics talking to you and you know who they are, you know the galactics, I'm the interfacer with ETs, and you know it, you should do your mission, because if you don't, you're going to make the biggest mistake of your life.
Is it worth it?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
And on that note, Miesha, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Misha Johnson is a lifelong experiencer. She has had the ultimate extraordinary experiences, blowing many people's minds every time she talks about this publicly. What is it like to have ET contact? What's it like to be taken, not just by aliens, but by secret government organizations as well? We're going to find out more about this with Misha Johnson when we return for the next half hour on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. Great start, Misha. Thank you.
Oh, I wasn't really going to really talk about that, but then you said, "How are you?" And I went, "Okay, I'll tell you."
Sometimes it needs to come out.
Yeah. It explains Project Oblivion and the things they'll do to you. It's really crazy. I'm going to go to the restroom.
All right. I'm just sitting here staring at you guys. Dirty Filth, do you want to stare at me? Do you want to stare with me?
Okay, I'm staring, Dave.
Perfect.
What are you drawing there? Oh, okay. I see now.
Emperor Penguin, how are you? Super Ron, thanks for coming on in. Magneticus Attracticus. I got new glasses today, and I don't even like them. Not a fan of them.
Why? Are they?
I picked the wrong frames.
Oh, I see. So they don't fit your
No,
comfortable.
I thought I would try something different, and the minute I tried them on, I knew I made the wrong choice. But I'm kind of stuck with them now.
Actually, they look fine. They look good.
The only
Do
cool
they have
part about
X-ray
it
vision?
is, no, they don't have X-ray vision, but my glasses do transition to blue in the sunlight, so that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pocket Watch, how you doing?
Yeah, I don't know where my glasses are. I was going to put my glasses on. I must have left them in the other room. It's so. Do you have the transition? So it's kind of like you see through both things. I didn't like them. I put them away and bought a new pair because I could not get used to adjust to the near far thing. I was dizzy all the time. That wasn't good for me.
It took me a couple of days.
Ooh.
I've had transitions for like 5 years. So it took me a little bit to get used to them, but I'm totally used to them now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will occasionally get them out and use them just, to try to keep trying on them. But they don't, for any length of time, I start getting a headache and they make me go cross-eyed or some weird feeling. It's just weird. I don't know. They may not be correct.
Linda B, how are you? She says, hi, Dave. Hi, Misha. I'm watching on my TV. Good show. Yay. AML, welcome to SOR chat. Apparently, I look distinguished. Thank you.
It's distinguished. Yes, you do.
AJ, how are you? We got about a minute and a half, Misha. I know you can see what I'm seeing now. But you can see how they turn blue in the light.
In the bright light, huh? Mm. Well, I do see kind of a tint to them on the top now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Mine just transitioned into a kind of a brownish, pinkish color because, I love purple. So it's kind of more of a pinkish purple color.
Nice. Yeah. Bobbert, how you doing? JC Wilder, welcome to SOR chat.
I can't join that chat, right?
You can if you go into the right-hand corner, and I got to remember where it is. It's somewhere in there. Right, upper right-hand corner, by where it says private chat. One of those boxes in there. The Michelle Eilis, Crazy Hot Morgan. How you doing, my beautiful friend? How's the Navajo warrior? I heard he was stung by the last video of El Ovni Volador. I felt bad for him. Still waiting for our super chatters for tonight because we got none, but that's okay. That's up to you guys. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone tuning us in. We love you all for joining the woo with us because that's what we love to do. And I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Misha Johnson. She is here. It's been a couple of years since we've interviewed her, and I'm so glad that she is back. She is a lifelong experiencer. She helps counsel those who have had their own experiences. And we're going to get deep and dark into Misha's story here right now. Misha, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was your first abduction that you recall?
I was 3 years old, approximately about that age, and my sister and I would hear these sounds sound like little squeaky things, like mice or something. And when we did, we'd both get really scared and get underneath the covers and hide, But one early morning after my sister had left for school, she was about 5 years older than me. No, actually 6, 7 years older than me. I heard that sound, so I followed it. So now my parents' house we had a house connected to a business. So they had this variety store, and it was an upstairs and a downstairs. So I came down the stairs and saw that my folks were in the variety store. Now it's kind of like it is, in those days we were just kind of in and out, latchkey kids, but could really pretty much take care of myself. But they didn't even see me. Then I came down because I wasn't supposed to be awake that early. And I came down and I looked underneath the stairs, and there were these 3 sets of brown eyeballs looking at me. They were about the same height as me. And as I walked closer to them, I could see that they had fur and had all over. They had fur in front of them, and then they had these little hooded capes, and they were just standing there blinking at me. And I got this really strong feeling that they were nice and kind. So I went in, and telepathically they communicated with me a little bit. Not really words per se, but just feelings and emotions and kindness. And they became my invisible friends, actually. And I had many, many visits with them where they would take me through an interdimensional portal, I guess, wherever it was, and we'd go up above the roofs of the house, and we'd levitate up to the ship. And they never harmed me. I don't remember really any kind of tests or anything like that. There was one memory I have that I saw myself having what appeared to be like I was laying in a bed type of thing, and I had what would be an X-ray vision, X-ray version of myself up above me, so I could see inside myself, and that was really it. But that wasn't until later, anyway. So I really did have a lot of memory, but I know that they were really kind, and they were my visible friends, and I called them Bee Gees the Bears. So when I grew up, I saw the movie Star Wars, and I saw the Ewoks, and I went nuts. I said, that's what they look like. That's what they look like. And so I found out also from a whistleblower that these types of what they called Ewoks, what I called BGs, have been connected to several of the bases, of the underground bases. And in my case, it would have been the Mountain Home one, which was close to where I lived. And then again, the bases in Nevada also had them there. So they were some of the ETs that were there. And I think that's where the whole idea for the Star Wars, a lot of the Star Wars characters comes from the connections with different ETs. Like the tall whites are another example that are there in Creech Air Force Base.
You fast forward through these great encounters that you were having. Where did it start to turn a little dark for you?
Well, I'm going to say at the time it felt a little dark, but I woke up, I went to bed, I woke up, I was standing outside. There was a big ship above me. I couldn't tell, it looked at the skies and it was very close, so I couldn't tell you what shape it was. It had three lights around it, and it had one kind of a bulb kind of thing. So I kind of think it might have been a cylinder or circular. And then I felt this energy behind me. Now I'm 16 years old at this time. And I felt this energy behind me. And then next thing I remember, I'm inside the ship now. And what ended up being what I call him tall, willowy one. He is a white, what you might call a tall white, but not per se the tall whites at Creech Air Force Base, a different one, a tall white with no hair. And he had, and other experiences I had, he had other little gray guys doing most of the work. And so there I was with these feelings in my gynecological examination type of thing that was happening to me at 16. It was freaking me out by these little gray guys down there. And then the willowy one leaned over, looked in my eyes and said, "Do not be frightened. This is necessary for the hybrid program." So I thought it was scary, but then I saw the willowy one, so I felt better. But then the ship was pretty good, large, pretty good size. And in the distance of the ship and in a more of a kind of a darker area of the ship, I saw three hooded beings. Now, they weren't little like my little BGs, so I knew they weren't BGs. They were taller and big, very, very good size. And I was trying to find out who they were. And I had this real strong feeling that I knew at least one of them. And I said, I know you. And one step forward, he dropped his hood, and he was a reptilian, who I later found out more about, which I could get into or tell you about him now. But he ended up being my protector. He ended up not only taking me on board ships, but also saving me in deep underground military bases when I was abducted. So he came into my life at that time, I'm positive, because it didn't start happening to me then, but within 3 or 4 years later, I started having the MILAB experiences, or something similar to MILAB experiences, where I would be taken into a base one way by some being, whether it would be a gray would take me, or a reptilian would take me, or even people in uniforms would take me.
Let's talk about how you all of a sudden started making a mark for yourself in this field, because you met Misha. I mean, you met Misha, you met Lorianne Fenton, you met Melinda, Lesley, and many others who were quite involved with this type of happening. How did you meet those two fellow legends? Because I look at you three literally as three of the queens of ufology and alien contact. I love you three, and I hold you in that esteem.
Oh, thank you. Well, the first time I met Melinda was, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. We had a big tour going on out there at Area 51. She came from a bus tour that came in. We came from another bus tour from here, and we met there at the gates of the Area 51. And that's where Melinda and I met. And then we really saw each other from time to time. I spoke at a conference out there at Rachel, which is just short distance from the Area 51 gate and such. And I saw her again. She was at the conference speaking as well. So we started to get to know each other and become friends. And so we were good friends. And then she lived in California. I lived here. So periodically we might have some connections and get together. We'd see each other at conferences. And then I ended up having of course, that was in 1990 that I started my support group. I met her in probably 1994-ish, 5, something like that. Then in 1999, I was encouraged to move to California to start up a support group there, because here I had a support group for men and women. I had a support group for teens and young adults. I had a support group for women's group. I also had just started a men's group. I had a reptilian encounter group as well, and I had parents and their children's group, which, like it states there, that I was the first one to start that in 1992 in America, I think, maybe the world. Mary Rodwell told me that it was the first one she'd ever heard of. So, but I was encouraged by some people to start a group in California. So I went to California with this plan to do that. And then Melinda and I started kind of doing tag team conferences where we'd speak at the same time. She'd speak, then I'd speak, vice versa. And so we just became really close. We were doing a book together. We were going to write a book all about the MILAB experience and the connection to the extraterrestrial abduction, because people who are MILABs, usually, I should say, people who are ET experiences may very often be taken into the MILAB program. And the MILAB program, for anybody who doesn't know, is a military re-abduction or military laboratory abduction. So they will, for me, they would take me sometimes in laboratory situations because they wanted to test my abilities, my psychic abilities. Because I was an interfacer, I would communicate with extraterrestrials. I could hear them and they could hear me. And so that made me a commodity for them, as well as with the psychic abilities I had. And they also, as a being a hybrid myself, they were interested in hybrids. So they did testing and things like that. So that is the deep underground military bases, the DUMBs. So that was going on here in Las Vegas before I went to California. And when I went to California, it continued. And Melinda and I had actually been abducted 2 times together, possibly 3, because we're not 100% sure she was abducted that time, but I was. So this was even before we went to California, that we had gone to Sedona on a retreat with some other gals. And when we got there, we were at very close to Boynton Canyon, and our Airbnb was that we stayed at. And one night while we were there, I was abducted and taken to the underground base. And a lot of things were weird there. That's where I saw some more reptilian situations. I saw this hybrid program with the reptilians, which they also use my genetics for. And so through the night, I was gone, and somebody got up because I was, the rooms were pretty open. It was like we were sharing rooms, sleeping together and stuff like that. And so my roommate had missed me, and she went to the bathroom. I wasn't there, and she saw that the doors were locked, and so couldn't figure out where I was. And so everybody was looking for me. And the next morning, when they, I guess, went back to bed, the next morning when I got there, they said, "Where were you? We were looking all over for you last night." And I said, I was gone. Yes, you were gone. Well, I have no memory of that. So I did on the way home. There was a situation where I started feeling like I was having a heart attack. So now this is targeting the psychotronic weaponry. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I was in the passenger seat. I was getting really flesh and feeling really sick. And I said, I need to stop the car for a minute. And so she stopped the car. They got a sleeping bag out for me and a pillow to lean up on the car, against the car on the outside of the car. About then, a truck, a white truck with just one red cross, didn't say military or anything like that. It didn't say ambulance. It didn't say anything. It just had a red cross on it. Stopped, and two men got out. One man they were both wearing khaki uniforms. One man was wearing a white shirt, and another man was wearing a white coat. And they said to me, "We need to get you inside the back of the truck so we can see what's wrong with you." And I got an immediate feeling that this was not a good thing. And while I was sitting there, I got this imagery of these reptilians in pods. And I also get this strong message from my galactics: do not go with them. So I kept putting them off. The girls put them off. I said, don't let them near me. They walked, and they only stopped. They did not come to me. So you would think if they were, they would have been, if they were really mad, they would have come to check me out. They didn't touch me. They just kept saying things like, "We need to get you back to trap. We need to get you on the machines and check you out." And I said no again. And just about that time, a highway patrolman pulls up on the other side of our car in the front. And when he did, they got in their truck and left. So I knew that if I went in that truck, I would never have come back out if I went with them. So
what gave you that feeling?
Oh, I just had this foreboding feeling that I would not come out, because I was getting this communications from this pod-like reptilian child, basically, baby, I don't know, but telepathically they were saying, "Please don't leave us. Please don't leave us." So that was an interesting thing. So now we're back in California, and we're doing research on the book. We're talking to ex-military, special forces people. We're talking to abductees. We're getting all the cassettes, tapes filled with all these recordings of people's experiences. And we were writing a book about the connection between the MILAB and the ET abduction, and who it was, and what was going on with the MILABs. And during this time, we would also speak at conferences and talk about the MILAB experiences and our own experiences and such. Mm-hmm. So they got very upset about that. And little by little, things kept happening. People kept coming up to me. Friends of mine actually stabbed me in the back, tried to put me into a psych ward. People would come up to me in a bar, and they were always I find out later, if I talk to them again, that they were always military, or while they're talking, they say they're military. And they'd ask me, aren't you afraid of talking? Now, I didn't tell them anything. They just say, aren't you afraid of talking to people about the things you talk to people about? So they were all sent in to scare me. And I even had, and then Melinda and I had an automobile accident. So I was driving, a flash of light came down. It was either go over the cliff or go into the mountain. So I went into the mountain instead. And so we were just slight injuries. The airbags were deployed. And the 2 days later, I was able to drive my car. And so that was on a Saturday. And then Sunday, I just stayed home because I wasn't really feeling great. And then on Monday, I went to work. But I found out from somebody at work that my license plate was missing. So I thought during lunch, I'll go back up there. It must be in that mountain. So I went up there, parked my car, walked up the short hill and found my license plate. I was coming back down. Here comes 2 cars racing by like they're racing. And when I get down there, I find out that my car's been broken into. They stole my purse, which had all my ID, even my Social Security, my checking, my credit cards, my checkbook, everything. And a man comes back and says later, very, very briefly later, and he says, I saw the person who broke into your car as I was driving by. He was tearing out of this parking area, and so I wanted to follow him, and I got his license plate for you. So he stayed there until the police came as my witness, and long story short, they did get him. He had he sold my stuff on the black market, and he's for drugs, he said, and he ended up, being jailed. And, but I ended up with terrible credit problems, and I had to file bankruptcy because I had been, my identity theft.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And this all happened due to the abductions.
They were, yes. Well, I'm sure he was sent in. He was a druggie. He was probably a targeted person, and he probably was told to do that, because he had no connection to us whatsoever, no connection to me or anybody else. It was just a guy. Actually, he was an illegal. Actually, it was an illegal. So I think they just used him. That's all. So
with 1 minute to go here before we have to go to break, Miesha, as you started getting more involved with this, did you realize that there was this dark side to contact with entities? Like from a governmental side, I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remembered the experiences where the Greys would pick me up, and the next thing I know, I'm in an underground base, which I will tell you a very interesting story about when I would come back. And so I knew there was connection between these Greys and my abductions and the deep underground base. And then, of course, when I saw reptilians there, after having the Greys take me out of my house to the reptilians in the deep underground base, I knew that was also connected. So the parts that happened that were scary and bad were the MILAB experiences. That's when the bad things started happening. Up until then, it was ET contacts, it was ET experiences. I did not have any bad ET experiences. In fact, because I was from an MK-Ultra, born into an MK-Ultra family, they came to me all the time as I was growing up to let me know I was loved, even though things were happening horrifically to me in my home.
Well, let's learn more about this when we return on Spaced Out Radio. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go with our good friend Misha Johnson from Starseed Awakening in Las Vegas. You can find her books on Amazon. We'd appreciate that. This is Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Miesha, we are clear. We got about 5.5 minutes. We're going to turn this over to Dirty Filth, and he is going to take us through for the next couple of minutes here. Hello, Dirty.
Hello, Dave. Hello, everybody else. So, currently working on a short comic involving Nightcrawler and some Zombunnies, which some of them had found new homes this weekend, as well as some of the plushies. We have a couple plushies left from the White Avenue Art Walk. Hello, Tim and Tim's Beard and Undead Jed. So once I get everything all sorted out and unpacked here, then there may be some zombies, some Zombunnies. Excuse me. Maybe some Zombunnies and some cryptids and aliens that may need a home. I know for sure we have a dog man that needs a home. Well, I have some of my tea here. Dying. Excuse me. So anyways, this current cartoon it's Nightcrawler's Evening, because apparently Nightcrawler was very popular at the art walk. Barking at the dog man out there. So anyways, Nightcrawler's going out. Here's the first drawing I did yesterday. Hello, Whiskey. Hello, Whiskey. Are you a big grouch? Yeah? Yeah. You grumpy old bag. Apparently, Whiskey wanted to come say hi to everybody. All right. Oops, actually, I forgot something from yesterday. I forgot to color the daisy in. There we go. Excellent. One second here. You're out of control, cat. Sorry, fighting with cats here. Okay, so anyways, Nightcrawler goes out for a saunter, and then you see some Zombunnies spray painting UFOs on a wall. Whiskey River, take my mind. Oh yeah. Yes, Joe Monk, there's a lot of Zombunnies that need forever homes as well. So, anyways, see some Zombunnies, and then you'll have to wait to see it I draw tomorrow. Except I already drew it, but can't tell you anymore because then it would ruin the entire story. Hello, Bob Perkins. Also, I'll be back drawing a cartoon this Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific. As I said, I had the art walk this weekend with Fox Vegas and sold a bunch of cartoons, sold a bunch of plushies, and had an overall good time. Except there was lots of people, and it was hot out, and I was melting. But I sold my Loveland Frogman cartoon, which is probably one of my favorite cartoons, but it was okay because, thank you, Super Ron 13. That's my number, 13. Loveland Frogman is probably one of my favorite drawings I did, and I should probably do another one at some point in time. He just looks so goofy. This lady just came sauntering by. She's seen it, and oh, honey, drags her husband into the cryptid corner at the sideshow. Next thing you know, she's buying a Loveland Frogman. So she bought the Frogman, complete with certificate of authenticity. I wonder what kind of stuff they have in the Hollow Moon, Bob. We got two Bobs in the chat room. Bob Gray and Bob Birkins. Bob Gray's a wizard and Bob Birkins is a sorcerer. They might not be, I'm just guessing. I've just created those characters now. But yes, it was a good time. Met a lot of interesting people. And the secret is to always bring a big doggy bowl for the dogs and bring snacks for the dogs. Because there's a ton of them out there. Thanks, Jules. One guy came up to me, one of the security guards came up and he goes, because I had all my war paint and junk on, he looks at me and he says, Did you paint your face? And I said, no, I was born this way. And he went, oh, geez, okay. And he walked away and came back like 20 minutes later. Did you really paint your face, man? Yeah, I painted my face, buddy. I probably had him wigged out for a bit. It was worth it. Anyways, I'm rambling away here. But yes, if anybody's interested, this coming Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 3 Mountain Time, I'll be back drawing a cartoon. It'll probably be an hour or so of me drawing cartoons, yelling at the cats. Whiskey's still here waiting for me. She knows it's almost snack time. That's why she came up here. Good night, Entertainment Extreme Network. Hello, Beano from Oz.
Hello, dirty.
Night Drive, just go to filthy.com, FYLTHY.com. Email me. I'm on social media, basically on everything. It's all over the place. I'm pretty sure Tim can paste something, and I can probably fandangle something for you. Okay,
Dirty
Dave,
Phil,
have a good night.
thank you for another great cartoon. Always appreciate you. Let's say hello quickly to Damien. And who else has showed up here? Scrolling on down. Lynn E.T. Thank you for coming on in. Sensational Shelley, nice to see you. Mitch, nice to see you. Thank you to our super chatters. T-Bone, my man, Michelle, Dutch Hank, Bob, Mama Catherine, and Erica. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. We're going to get going here in 5 seconds. Hi, Jerry Elmore and Spectral Vibes. Welcome to SOR Chat. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Rod. Rod is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. She's an experiencer. She's an author. She is a counselor. She does everything in her life revolving around ET contact, UFOs, and everything in between. Misha Johnson from Las Vegas is joining us tonight. Misha, thank you so much for being here. We always appreciate your time.
Thanks. Great being here, David.
So, we were going to get into what happened with the MILAB situation with you and some of your friends that kind of happened. I mean, you guys were having a great time, and then all of a sudden, nighttime hits. Mm-hmm. This is one of the scariest stories I have ever heard in 10 years on this show. What happened?
Okay. Well, then I guess I better tell you that one first, and then I'll go to the easy ones after. Okay, so concerning Melinda and I. So Melinda and I had spoke at a conference. We had been on what is it called? George Norrie's show, but it was when it was Art Bell. I can't think of the name of it then. And she was staying at my house, and she was on the couch, and I was in my bedroom. My roommate was out of town, and we were working. Before we went to bed, we were after the radio show, we were working on some things. And the next day we were working on some things because we were going to have a conference that we were going to be speaking at together. So we were doing all kinds of work, and went to bed that night. And in the morning, I woke up and I walked out of my bedroom, and there she was on my couch, sleeping on the couch, and hadn't woken up yet, but my coffee table, which was a glass top, had cracked. And I thought, well, that's weird. And I asked her, what happened to my coffee table, Melinda? And she's, I don't know. I don't know. And I said, oh, well, that's weird. Do you remember anything? And, no, I don't remember anything. I didn't remember anything. So she went on back home. And I started feeling really weird, like you'd get when you know that something really heavy has happened. So I got a hold of my hypnotherapist, and I went to see him and had a session, and found out that in the middle of the night, two men pulled me up out of bed that were wearing black uniforms and night vision helmets with night vision goggles on them. And they drugged me down the stairs of my condo and put me in a van. Well, she was feeling the same way, and she ended up having a hypnosis session as well. And we talked to each other a couple of days later and found out that she had a memory that in the middle of the night, she was drugged out of off the couch. And when they drug her, she did go across my coffee table and cracked it. So that's how we found out there. Well, in the meantime, I had been looking around my house to see how they got in. And I looked at the front, and just a couple, 3 weeks prior to this abduction, my landlord had put new, the rubber stuff that goes around the doors. I don't know what you call it. But he had put new stuff all the way around the door. So they had put some kind of instrument in there, tore some pieces off of that. So we knew that they had broken in that way. So somehow or other they jimmied the lock, and because it had two locks. So they had to jimmy the deadbolt, and that's how they got in. So next memory I have is I'm sitting on a table, and it was always lieutenant colonel or above. I've had many, many, many times where I was abducted and ended up with military interrogating, yelling at me, and this was no different. And it's always lieutenant colonel and above. And he was yelling at me about what was I doing on the radio show, because I didn't get a chance to say that when I'd been on that radio show, she had a phone, and I had the house phone, and she had a cell phone, and I had the house phone, and my phone went dead just as I said reptilians underground bases. They did not want that being said, and we were talking about being in underground bases, and I said, I saw reptilians in Bango. I was gone, and I had to get my phone, my cell phone out and get the call in, and I finally got through. It was too late. I couldn't talk anymore. So I ticked them off, and they said, you're not supposed to be talking about bases. You're not supposed to be talking about reptilians. You're not supposed to be doing. You have been told over and over again to shut your blankety blank mouth, and if you do not do it, there are serious consequences. And he says, to drive the point home to you how serious we are this time, I want you to meet somebody. So he walked out. The other soldier that was standing at the door walked out, and in walked, I would say 7.5 foot, maybe 8 foot tall Draconian. This was not a reptilian. I'd seen reptilians. This was a Draconian. He had what would be maybe wings that had been atrophied, and so he had these little pointed things on his shoulders. He was more jaggedy than the reptoids and reptilians I'd seen before. And he walked, and he had a tail, which I'd never seen before. And he walked over, and his tail was swishing back and forth. So it felt so absolute real. And he leaned down, looked in my eyes, and put me in this room. And now this room is kind of like a white room. There's nothing there except for my two sons, my one son's wife, and my granddaughter, who is 3. And then this is just the hologram they put me in, or whatever. Men in black uniforms, like ninja uniforms, came in with big knives, like they use in the sword fightings with the bayonet type things, and started cutting up my family in front of me. And I knew that it was I was screaming, they were screaming, and then all of a sudden it was silent. And then all of a sudden I was back. Because in my mind I said, this isn't real. This is not real. In fact, I said the word, is this real or Memorex? Because that advertising of Memorex was on TV, and that got into my head. And at the same time that happened to me that night, it happened to her when she had probably the same Draconian, and came to her and made her think that he was ripping her to pieces and killing her. So that was a really heavy duty experience. And I had already had several other things happen. Like I said, I'd had one automobile accident. And then I had identity theft that was going on. And then I was going to interview somebody. It was after this situation. I said, okay, I've got a couple people to interview. I'm going to interview them. And I had been interviewing a lot of people in my home. I didn't really think anything about it. I was really not smart. But this man who was a big, giant military, definitely big, bulgy, his picture or an image of him, not his picture, but an image of what he looked like is in my newest book, came in and said he was my appointment. So I went, okay, come on in, sit down. I'll get my cassette player and, you can start talking to me and tell me about it. And then he stops and he says, you seem like a really nice lady. I don't want to hurt you. And I said, hurt me? He said, you just seem really nice, but the no, I don't know, not a colonel. I have to. Oh, the major. But the major sent me here. You're supposed to die tonight. Oh my God. I have got to get together here and figure out how I can get out of this. And so I stood up and I walked back and forth in front of him and I said, the colonel is who's in charge. The major is not, the colonel is. You need to go back to the major, but you really need to talk to the colonel because the colonel will tell you that you are not supposed to kill me. And he was like, it was something off about him for sure. And so he said, okay. And I kind of just shuffled him out the door, locked the door. And I think he got the idea. He realized, wait a minute, that's not right. And he showed up at my work. I don't know how. They sent him to my work. And I saw his car. I looked out. I saw him out the window and I saw his car. I worked at a builders corporation. And I just waited until he left, and I left, and I went to the police station immediately. Well, actually, after that happened, I called the police, and I went down and I went to the police station right after he left because I thought maybe he'd never come back. But when he came back, I went to the police station and I looked at mugshots, and I, in fact, picked him out, and he was from Leavenworth. He was on parole from Leavenworth. I don't know how he ended up in Nevada, but he was here. And so they said, well, he is on parole, and so he will be checked on very soon, and we'll see what happens, and it'll be okay, and we'll handle it. And so let us know if he comes back. Well, that very next night, there he was again. He was banging on my door. He said, we can catch it. He said, we want to catch him there in the act. And so he was banging on my door. I went into my bedroom and called the police and stayed in my bedroom in a closet until the police came. And evidently the siren must have ran him off because they did catch him. They did arrest him, and he did go back to prison. So that was pretty scary. And then I had some other ones that were real scary too. And then I had two more automobile accidents. That when I was ran off the road on a freeway going back home to see my kids. That was in, anyway, I'm not going to say where my kids were, but going back home to see my kids, and they ran me off the road. Truck drivers came in and told me, wow, we saw what happened. It looked like it was on purpose. It was. But again, I was saved and protected because I ran into a Joshua tree, very soft Joshua tree, going 72 miles an hour and going up over on the other side and then hitting the Joshua tree. So they do watch over you.
With those experiences in being taken, you have had many times had missing time, twice of 8 months apiece. You don't even remember being married to one guy or how that happened. Explain what that's like.
Okay, as short as I can make this. It is all in my book. This particular last book that I wrote, I put everything in it, even, well, you can't see it, but everything in it, even names. You can handle the truth. So, short story to this is, oh, criminy. Sorry, I forgot the question. It just went right out of my
Just in regards to your missing time encounters.
Oh, of course, my missing marriage. All right. So I was 17 years old. I went to college with the pre-college things, the open houses, and I was looking and checking things out. I was in a cafeteria with some of the other kids. A man came in and up to us, and he said, hey, does anybody want to make about several hundred dollars? He said, and then he told us how much it was. So it ended up to be $450 to be in a dream study. All you have to do is be in a dream study. We watch your dream and you make $450. Well, like an idiot, I said yes. And the next day I went just off the campus, barely off the campus, to a brownstone building, walked in, people in lab coats, beds. They hooked me up. I signed something to agree to it, so I could get my money, which I never did get, by the way. They put me and hooked me up, and that was the last thing I remembered for 8 months. During that time, I had contacted my parents and told them I was getting married. And I said, put an announcement in the newspaper. I'm getting married to a Navy Marine corpsman. He's a hero, and he's going to be a doctor. And I said, I'll let you know when the wedding is. So they did that. And then they received just a few days before the wedding, this was in January. The wedding was in February. I don't know, I think it was 17th or something like that. They received the announcement for the wedding. They hurried and got down there. And by the time they got there, I was already in my wedding dress. And they said, my father said, I will not walk you down the aisle. You don't know this man. You don't even know anything about him. What are you doing? And evidently I was not myself. I was one of my alters, which were put into me back when I was a very young child. So I've been in the MK-Ultra program for my whole life. So these were altars that were already, my psyche was split, and these are altars that they called forth. And this particular altar had a wedding. And she she said to my father, I don't care. I'll let my friends walk me down the aisle. They're the ones that got me my dress. And so evidently what I did is I walked down the aisle. I got married. We had a reception in the basement of the church. And the next day he took me off someplace, and my family never saw me or heard from me until I woke up on a bus 8 months later, looking at a name that was a last name that was not my last name, and wondering what in the world happened. Long story short, I had memories that were saying, programs that were saying, you were married to a Navy Marine corpsman. He wants to be a doctor. His parents wants to get rid of you, so he's sending you home. And that was basically his story. Then I saw imagery of being in Victoria Island in Canada, and being at a big parties and being taken in on a bus with other kids. And it was like eyes wide shut. That's as much as I can tell you about that. So I'm on this bus. I'm riding, but I have one tiny little bag about this big, nothing else. No pictures, nothing. I'm sent back, and I called my parents when I got to the bus station. They came and picked me up and told me I had been married. So that was the first one, and then I was abducted again a year later, the same way. This time a phone call sounded like a fax machine, and that was the end. I was taken again.
Oh my.
8 months. And through those times are my MK-Ultra, the Montauk, not Montauk, excuse me, MK-Ultra, a mind control, and beta slave. I mean, all kinds of things. It's in my book.
So you were physically drugged, or was this your memory erased?
No, it's called the driving program. It actually came out of Canada by Dr. Cameron. And it is a program he sold to the CIA. And it is driving program. And they input things in your head. They take things out. They take memories out. They wash your memory. You can have... you can be asleep for days, weeks, and months at a time. They bring you out to do jobs or their projects, and then they put you back asleep. And that's what was happening through that whole time.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound very friendly. How long did it... And so after that 8 months, how long did it take you to kind of get your wits about you again?
Well, I was just getting better, doing good, and I had moved to another state because I felt maybe it'd be safer there. And I moved to another state, and that's when they got me that next year. And through that year, I went to MIT, I went to San Francisco, I went to Bohemian Grove. There were so many places that I was used in the beta slave and the Project Midnight Climax, the honeypots, all the different things. Because the honeypots are places where they bring in politicians, Hollywood, all kinds of people, and they get them into blackmail them with some kind of really deviating sexual thing.
Kind of like a certain island that we're not supposed to talk about.
Yes, like that island. Yes.
Yes.
Only we were a little bit older.
Oh, that's just horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. And aliens were present during that time.
One time there were otherwise there were not any of my experiences stopped. All of my experience with my ETs had stopped completely. But one of the experiences I was taken, and it was a particular time when I told you there was a big party and there was teenage boys from like 11 to 13 and us, and we were taken, and we ended up in a deep caves or basement or something like that.
Hold that thought. We're going to go to break here. Misha Johnson, we have her for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear.
So, gee, are my answers too long?
No, they're beautiful.
Okay.
They're beautiful.
Okay. So we're going to go to the reptilian. Dracos, right? The ritual. Okay, so I know where I'm at. The ritual. Are the people enjoying it, or am I losing?
Oh yeah, very much so. People love you.
Okay, vivid games and DC teammates. So have you had any kinds of things happening to you that would be Project Oblivion, strange occurrences?
No,
No?
not
I'm glad
not
to
at
hear
all.
that.
To be blunt.
I'm glad to hear that.
No, not at all. I feel lucky about that.
Could be because you're in Canada.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had, knock on wood. I've never had the knock on the door. I've never got the phone call. I've never got anything.
Uh-huh. Well, yours have mostly been AT experiences of positive nature.
Pardon me?
Yours have mostly been ET experiences and positive ET experiences.
I have had a couple of experiences that are not so good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any ones you think might be MILAB?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I think you just either chose for those paths or not chose. It's everybody's program is designed specifically for them. And since I was going to MK-Ultra-style, mine was designed.
What is weird though is that I do have some very close people around me who are MILAB. Mm-hmm. Not many, just a couple.
Mm-hmm. Are they talking?
Oh yeah. Well, you know Samantha. Well, I mean, I would include Melinda, Lorian, and Samantha Mowat.
Yeah. Oh
in
yeah.
Those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Where does Samantha live? Is she Canada?
North of me, about 3 hours in a city called Prince George.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be seeing her hopefully in a couple weeks here.
Oh, we'll give her my love.
I will. She loves you.
Yeah, I love her too. I wish we could see each other again. We could communicate on TikTok a lot.
I will try and get her to come down to Vegas with us for our SOR party next year.
Oh, cool. That'd be great to see her.
Yeah. So I will try and arrange that
mm-hmm.
and see. Yeah.
So you want to do it in Vegas, are you? Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Vegas is like home to me.
Yeah. You think you might live here?
If I have my way. A lot of pieces, a lot of the bricks have to be built and a lot of pieces of the puzzle have to fall into place.
Uh-huh.
And when they do, a decision will be made. And hopefully I can move down there.
And how old are your kids?
My youngest is 12.
Oh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, he just turned 12 about 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
That's a tough age.
Yeah. Well, he's a tough kid.
It's tougher anyway, though.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot. I mean, I love the desert. I don't, and it's more than just the strips and the casinos and everything. Yeah. I've been around mountains my entire life, like forested mountains, and I love where I live, Miesha. I do. It is gorgeous. But every now and again, you just want to change. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've got 52 years of living near the mountains or on the mountains.
Yeah.
And I would like some desert in my life.
Yeah. Well, we also have mountains. You know, when I
I
take
oh, I
people
know
out,
you do.
should
You got
tour
beautiful
mountains all
mountains.
around us. Yeah. So
Yes, you do.
yeah.
But I would like some desert climate,
Mm,
and I am an extremely amateur, lifelong military buff. I
mhm.
still get excited when I see military vehicles, and airplanes, so it's all good. 1 second here. We're coming back in 7 seconds. Thank you, Erica, Michelle, Dutch, Hank, Bob, Mama Catherine, and T-Bone, my man, for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. And here you go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. This is the Mighty SOR. We got some serious woo going on here. We absolutely love you tuning us on in. And I want to remind you that if you just tuned in and missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Why are they free? Because I want them that way. I'm stubborn, and I want my archives free for all of you to tune on in. So you can grab them on any major podcast network or on YouTube. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Misha Johnson, author, researcher, experiencer, counselor of everything of the unknown and high strangeness. And right before the break, Misha, we were telling a story about, your missing time events and how scary that is when you don't even have control of your own mind, body, and soul. I mean, have you ever got over that?
I've integrated my altars, and I do not have any situations with them. I still, I still have the memories. I know about those. I know about the experience. Some things sometimes come up triggering me, but they do not trigger an altar anymore, like when I first started my healing journey. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Let's get to some audience questions here, because I got a few for you.
There's a question there I noticed with the reptilians, or I can...
I'll put the questions up for you and I'll read them. Like T-Bone here is asking, Misha, do you think you might have been a victim of 20 and back?
Oh, absolutely. I was. I do know that. I know of two particular times that I were there. I was once there at 11, went into my teen years, and then my memory, was back into it in like 20s, in my 20s. And in my 20s, I was, in my young life, we were just kind of being trained. They were trying to see who was going to be a super soldier, who's not. Well, I'm not a candidate for a super soldier because I will not kill anybody. And all the way through my life, MK-Ultra and my programming from 3 years old to the time in this asylum where they were training us, I would not harm anybody. Now, did my altars do it? I'm not 100% sure did they or not, but I know that I did not. And so I knew I was not a candidate for that. So instead, what they used me for was kind of bait, like, guinea pigs. So we were sometimes dressed up and put into uniforms. And I had a particular experience when I was, I imagine 13 or 14, we were put in uniforms, and there were these insectoid type beings that I would consider a mantis kind of race. And in a lot of hypnosis, I found out that the reason they were attacking us, which they attacked us kids because they thought we were soldiers, but then the soldiers came and attacked them. The reason they attacked us is they were protecting their family that lived in the mountains, in the caves. So I talk about it in my book, the whole entire experience. So then later, like when I was in my 20s, I was what you might call a instructor. What my job was to teach them how to become a team, teach these super soldiers, young teenagers, to be a team. I was not responsible for teaching them how to fight or do anything. I would send them off to these different things, different places to learn all of those abilities. But I was to keep them I was kind of like, to some people, they call me a school teacher. Others call me the instructor. So that's what I did. And the Germans really, and the Draconians actually, really liked what I did there, because the super soldiers that were going off to fight and stuff came back because they learned how to work as a team unit instead of fighting alone. So they were coming back alive, and that saved them lots of money because they didn't have to do more training and bring in more people. Because I'm sure there's a price that somebody gets paid somewhere for this 20 and back for us.
All right, let's go to another question here. Let's go to Carrie. When you were taken to these underground bases, were you ever instructed to never say the name of Jesus?
No, I can't say I was.
Were you? Let me change that a little bit. Then, were you instructed not to talk about it?
No, I wasn't. I don't ever remember anything like that.
All right, let's go to Jules. Are MILABs more traumatic than being taken by the others?
Oh, by the ETs? Oh, yes. The ETs, they, even the ones that really don't have, energy, they don't have emotions, they actually aren't trying to harm you. But some of the MILAB experiences, they hurt you. I came back with bruises and marks and scratches and cuts, and definitely the MILAB experiences are a lot more traumatic than any kind of ET experiences.
Moving on to another question. Let's go to Bob. Miesha, I had a childhood UFO encounter followed by a bedside visitation involving a device in my mouth. Have you heard of similar cases?
A bedside involving a device in his mouth on the bedside? Because this is the type of thing they use so that we don't bite our tongues during MK-Ultra programming. So it might be that he might need to do some hypnosis or something to find out, was it really or was it a screen memory? And what he really remembers was maybe being put in like a chair, having electric shock, having a device in your mouth. The device in your mouth keeps your mouth open so that you don't bite your tongues. Also, you sometimes, depending on what era you're in the old days with me, they keep our eyes open with things. Felt like toothpicks, but they weren't, I'm sure, but they felt like that.
All right, let's move to another question here. Let's go to Erica. If aliens supposedly wipe your mind, then how do you remember you've been abducted?
Well, you have memories of the experiences and things that when you come back, you have missing time. For instance, you wake up as a child. This would happen to me, and it happened to me a couple of times. I would go to bed and wake up outside of my house. A 6 or 7 year old is not going to be able to get through locked doors by themselves. So something has happened. So when I grew up, and actually when I had a lot of hypnosis sessions about my AT experiences. And then I've had a few of them, a few more about my MILAB and the secret space program and MK-Ultra and all of those. So they don't want you to remember in a couple of things. The positive ones don't want, they positive or non-positive, don't want you to remember, because if they're positive, they don't want to interrupt your life. If they're negative, they don't want you to remember, because they just don't want you to remember. They don't want disclosure. They don't want you to remember. So they do wipe your mind, always. Now, our government, shadow government, has a way of wiping minds too. So if you don't remember abduction, but you have, let's say, go to my website, go to my questionnaires. I have several questionnaires, and look at the questionnaires. If you answer those questionnaires for the experiencer with a lot of positives, a lot of yeses, then you might just not have the memory, but you are abducted. So a lot of people find out through hypnosis, through coming to my support groups. A lot of them, from just coming to my support groups, find out that they are abducted, the abductees. And in the MILAB programs too.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to T-Bone. What is the difference between Draconians and reptilians?
Okay, so I'm going to tell a story about my experience, so that will help you understand. Okay, so the Draconian experience I already told you about. Well, when I was in the MILAB, deep underground military bases, in the MILAB, taken into the MILAB program, one time I was walking down a hallway, and there was a reptilian walking next to me. Now, these people in military uniforms and lab coats would come towards me, and they'd see me and look at me, but they didn't ever look at him, and I knew he was there. Not only I felt his, sensed he was there, but I could also smell him. I asked him, they look at me, why don't they look at you, telepathically? And he sent back a message, because they know they must honor us. They're not allowed to look at us. And he gave me some scenarios of images in my head about people getting in trouble looking at them, and people actually going crazy looking in their eyes. So that's their level, and they are in charge, and they must be honored. And that's the word that was used. Now, later on, if it was him, it may have been, I'm not sure, because you can only look straight forward and move your eyes. I was in a room, there was a reptoid in the room. He was more sleeker than that Draconian I saw later on in years. And I said to him telepathically, why are you invading our planet? What did we do to you? He sent back an image to me of dinosaurs and prehistorics all running from all these comets coming. I knew that were comets that were being used as weapons. And he said, and we who were smaller and smarter, more intelligent, he did say smarter, smaller and more intelligent, evolved to who you see before you. So I believe that's a reptoid. I also saw what it would be more like a raptor looking, with a longer nose in my lab experiences. And then, of course, the Draco and that other experience in California. So that's the difference between them.
Let's go to Stargazer. Can Draconians shapeshift like reptilians?
Well, I've not seen one do it, so I can't say for sure. But I would absolutely imagine that they could, even more so than reptilians, because Draconians are the warrior class. A lot of the Draconians that we have interaction with are the elite or the warrior class, and they're far superior psychologically, sorry to say, than us. Psychically, I mean, not psychologically. Probably not psychologically. Psychically, they're superior to us. So they can maybe maybe shapeshifting is not always shapeshifting. Sometimes shapeshifting is allowing us to see what they really look like.
All right, let's go to Jose. On average, how tall would you say were the mantids, and did there seem to be one among their group that was directing everything?
Okay, well, the only mantid I saw in an experience was during that Secret Space one, the 20 and back. So I not had per se mantid experience that I've seen. But I do know from tons of hypnosis sessions that the mantids are in charge of the grays. Always. The grays are never in charge of the mantids. The tall whites, or the tall whites with hair or without hair, they are in charge of the grays too. Pretty much all of them are in charge of the grays. And the Zeta Reticulars are different than grays, by the way. Zeta Reticulars are a very large part of the hybrid program, because so many planets have cloned themselves out of existence. So that's why this hybrid program is so important to so many different species.
Next is Polly over in Israel, who is asking, in my experience, I'm taken to a craft to take care of women and babies during a hybridization program. Why do aliens seem to need our empathy, and why am I having marks on my legs?
Okay, so I don't know what her marks are. I mean, if I didn't know what kind of marks, they do take scoops out of your legs, and mine are in my shin area, oddly enough. And maybe that's because it's not as noticeable because you got the bone area there, but that's where mine was. So that would be possibly the leg issues. If they're not bruises, and if they're not scratches. If they're scratches, you could be in the reptilian program and you got scratches. Now, as for the babies and being in the hybridization program, they bring us up there because the grays don't have empathy. The grays don't have emotions. The taller grays have something like it, but they don't even have the same kinds of love, unconditional love, emotion that women do. So that is why the hybrid program is, and of course the kids need that, because if they're from our genetics, they're going to need that emotional connection, that love. And if they don't have it, it won't work. Like I was given a baby, and I immediately bonded with it. And then they showed me imagery that this was a success, and they showed me where other people in the hybrid programs were handed babies. A man dropped the baby. The other women were scared of it. And so they're very, very happy when we can show love and empathy for our kids. And believe me, you were probably a hybrid mother, or you wouldn't have been there.
Necessary Dialogue is asking, how many different aliens do you think there are?
Oh. I think, I have no proof of this, but I think there's thousands of them, because you've got many, many human races that also are in the alien category. They may have a different kind of brow, and they may have, marks or blotches. They may look different. So you've got all of those, because I believe the human race makes up a large percentage. A humanoid race makes up a large percentage of the aliens out there. So our government knows there's at least 53 that they are being interacted with. At least 53. But there's thousands, I'm sure. And I do galactic light language of communication, and connect with the galactics. And I connected with, oh gosh, I would say way over 53, maybe a couple hundred or so of communications, because they come in different languages, different tones, different dialects, things like that.
All right, let's move on, as we got about 4.5 minutes here. We'll try and squeeze in a couple more questions. Robin is
I want to tell about my support groups. That's a really important part.
Yes. Well, then we'll do 2 more questions, and then we'll get to your support group.
Okay.
Robin, new to our chat room, is asking, what kind of aliens make a chattery clicking sound?
Mantids. Yep.
Don't the Greys as well?
Oh, the Greys. I've heard people say the Greys do. Yeah, I've heard of that. So probably the Mantids and the Greys. I forgot about the Greys.
Let's go to Scott here. Could the hybrid programs, by the way, happy birthday, Scott, who is in our chat room tonight. All the best to you on your special day. Could the hybrid programs be attempting to epigenetically breed in our trauma responses?
Breed in our trauma responses.
Yes.
Are you saying that I'm dyslexic and I'm not a very good reader? What does epigenetically mean?
The hybrid, I would assume that, that they're trying to take advantage of people who are in a vulnerable, fearful mode.
No, I don't think the hybrid programs do that, but there are some AT experiences programs that, abductions that will do that. But it's usually always in the MILAB thing. And that's where the trauma comes in, with the groups that are working with our government, our shadow government. And that's the sad part about it is, besides the Ebens and the ones that made the Greada Treaty, they're also part of the abductees, and they're not positive. But again, they made an agreement with our government.
2.5 minutes left. You want to talk about your program that you have going?
Okay, I do. Well, I'm author of four books. This is you can't see him, but so he's going to have them somewhere so you can see them. But there we go. But kind of get a book of it. This is the other one. Yeah. Well, I can show it on Zoom. I can't show it here. Okay. And then I also did 2 oracle decks to help people find out their experiences and such. I do readings with the oracle decks, readings with my galactic chart. That also helps people find out what the galactic planets of origin are, what their mission is, what characteristics are within the galactics, all kinds of different ETs, colored pictures there. So I do readings for those as well, and I do hypnosis. I specialize in trauma release hypnosis. I work with a lot of secret space program and MK-Ultra people. I know if you've had Olivia James on here, but you need to have her if you haven't. She's she's the one that helped me with that Project Oblivion, So, so my most important mission is waking up people, is helping people realize who are waking up that they're not alone. So I provide and have provided groups since 1990 for people. And now I do it for the last 12 years online as well as in my home. And I have many different groups. They're everything from galactic light language, channeling, automatic writing. So I help people learn how to connect with their galactic so they can have a really personal experience, because every single one of us has a galactic being or beings, angelic being or beings who are protecting us. That we come into this world with protectors, but they will not interfere. We must realize that we have them and ask them for help. So then I also have ET experiencer groups, all different types of ETs, positive and negative experiences. I have, of course, the hybrid group.
Hold right there, Miesha. Thank you. Hour 3, Swamp Dweller. Then B. Arthur is here on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Are we off?
Thank you, Miesha.
Oh,
Very
you're
much appreciate you, my dear. We're going to do this again soon, okay?
okay. Well, I didn't get a chance to tell them the website, but maybe if you could put that in there that they can
We
they
will.
can find about those support groups on the website, because I'm trying to reach people from all over the world. I'm working
Yes.
now with beyond being human group, and we're trying to spread out to get in touch with everybody we can to help get
Awesome.
people's. Okay.
Thank you, my dear. We'll chat soon, okay?
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Misha Johnson, everybody. She's amazing. I love her. Love her. I'll be right back. All right. Let's bring in B. Arthur. There he is, the golden one himself from the Paranormal Portal podcast. Swamp Dweller is going to be just over 6 minutes, and then we will get you going. All right.
I'm here to entertain. How's the night going?
Oh, it's been awesome so far.
Even better now, right?
Well, hey.
No, it was a wonderful guest. I listened to a little bit of that. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
She is fascinating. Thank you to Erica, Mama Catherine, T-Bone, my man, Michelle, Dutch Hank, and Bobbert for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Thank you very, very much. Did I miss one? Oh, an Emperor Penguin. I'm sorry. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for choosing us, because we love entertaining you with the woo and so much more. Coming up next, we got Swamp Dweller and the golden one, B. Brent Thomas from the Paranormal Podcast, Portal Podcast, the Triple P, as he likes to call himself. But first, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Rod. Rod is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
So it's the summer of 2013. I'm 21, and I just finished my junior year in college. The second week of August, a group of my friends and I go on an 8-day camping trip. It's 7 of us in total, 4 guys and 3 girls. We're camping in a semi-remote campground in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. It was a large campground, but very few other campers were there. There were a few filled sites near the front of the campground, but we purposefully requested a campground in the back corner. We were completely by ourselves. During the trip, we planned a whitewater rafting trip for one of the days. We were hiking Mount Washington towards the end of the trip and thought maybe we'd do another 1 to 2 other small hikes, with 1 to 2 days of just chilling by the lake at the campground. We also planned on doing plenty of drinking during the evenings. The first couple of days of the trip are fantastic. Whitewater rafting was a blast. Everything's going great. So it's the evening of our 3rd day. We have a roaring fire going. We're all just hanging out at the campsite, drinking, and just messing around. It's around 9:30 when a disheveled-looking man walks past our site. His clothes are kind of torn or worn out, messy and tangled hair, etc. He looks to be maybe in his mid-40s. This isn't weird, though. We all just think it's another camper doing a late evening stroll around the campground. About an hour and a half later, we see this same man walk past our site in the same direction. This time he's walking slower, almost with a bit of a limp. We're all pretty drunk at this point. I think one of us might have yelled something out to him, but he just kind of ignores us and keeps on walking. Mildly strange, but still is probably just someone who wanted to take a long walk. We wrapped up the night at around 1:30 or 2, I believe. The fire is dying down and we head back to our tents. I usually love sleeping while camping. I usually find it extremely peaceful, but for some reason, I was having trouble sleeping this night. I get up to go take a pee in the woods. When I do, I see a faint light, maybe about 50 to 75 yards ahead of me in the woods, if I remember correctly. It looks like a dim flashlight or something similar. I decided, for whatever reason, I want to go investigate. I go back to the tent. One of my other buddies is still awake, so I tell him about it. We get up to investigate. When we do, the light is no longer on. Feeling just a little bit unnerved, I shine my flashlight around the woods a bit, but don't see anything, so I decide maybe my eyes were just playing tricks on me before I go and head back to bed. Sometime later that night, I wake up to a terrifying scream. It was Sarah, one of the girls we were camping with. I jumped out of my tent as quickly as possible and nearly run into her as she's running back into our site. She's still screaming. She screamed that there is a man standing in the middle of the woods. Now, our whole party is awake and freaking the heck out. I try to calm Sarah down enough to get her to explain what actually happened. She says she went to go pee in the woods and saw the man from earlier just standing about 15 feet away from her, not moving, being like a statue. We all start freaking out, yelling and screaming and making a giant commotion. I'm internally freaking out and trying to calm down though. I'm just trying to be the voice of reason. If I can get everyone to calm down enough, we can maybe do something. We obviously decide to get the heck out of there. We frantically take down our tents, basically just ripping the poles down and throwing everything into the back of our cars. Then we sped out of there. It's around 4 a.m. We're in 2 separate cars and decide just to drive away from the campsite and try to clear our heads. Eventually, at around 5:30, we find a small diner that's open and decide to head in for some breakfast. We all have different theories about what the heck just happened. Some of us think we just ran into a homeless guy who was camping out in the woods and was surprised by us. Some of the girls think maybe he was purposely stalking us. Either way, obviously none of us are comfortable staying at that campground again. I head back to the front desk of the campground with 2 of the other guys. We explain what happened and the guys at the front desk actually seemed to believe us, but said there were definitely no other campers currently that fit the description of that guy. They were insanely nice about it though, and actually refunded most of the remainder of our stay, which astonished me. As a group, we decided to say F it and we weren't letting one freaky guy ruin our trip. We found another campground, and it ended up being fine. For the most part. At least, we thought it was. Fast forward 2 days. We're hiking Mount Washington. We get up really early and get to the mountain at around 7:30 a.m. to start hiking up. We're a little over halfway up the mountain when we see the very same guy hiking down. Though this time he looks much better. His hair isn't crazy. His hiking clothes are relatively clean. We are all just frozen. A few of us let out a surprised scream. He just strolls past us with a massive grin. Luckily, there are enough hikers nearby that nothing could really happen. We decide to continue hiking up anyways since he is headed in the opposite direction and hope we never encounter him again. We did finish the hike and luckily we didn't see him again. After that, we did decide to cut a trip a little short because, honestly, looking back on it, we've all come to the conclusion that we were likely being stalked in some way. If it was just some homeless guy in the woods near the campground, what the heck was he doing hiking down Mount Washington a couple of days later? It was a pretty unnerving and bizarre experience for sure. I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts or comments down below.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, hit subscribe, ring that bell, as Swamp Dweller kicks off hour 3 of this show each and every night, and on his channel has thousands of stories for you to listen to. Now, filling in for Robin Haynes tonight on the Q&A, we have from the Paranormal Portal podcast. We call him B. Arthur around here. Brent Thomas is coming right up. Brent Thomas, B. Arthur, I know you get confused when people call you both different names, but it's good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you here as well. And people can find your YouTube channel at Paranormal Portal Podcast. So make sure you go there, hit subscribe, ring that bell, because Brett deserves it. He's one of the best out there, in my opinion. And if you trust my opinion, well, that's one you want to trust. Go hit subscribe on his channel as well. I don't know if you heard this story or not, but this is actually kind of creepy. Did you hear what happened today? That the gentleman who is in charge of helping tour around Annabelle mysteriously passed away in his hotel room while on tour with the doll. Now, here's my thing with these haunted dolls, man. Eventually, they get you.
Mm.
There is something dark about these things. So let me read the story. This comes from TMZ. 54-year-old Dan Rivera was in Pennsylvania for his Devils on the Run tour, hauling the infamous doll across the country when firefighters and medics rushed to his hotel on Sunday night. Now, Dan is a paranormal investigator on this creepy haunted Annabelle doll tour, and they were at the haunted battlefield town of Gettysburg when he died out of the blue. Adams County dispatch logs reveal a call for CPR in progress on a man matching Rivera's age. Rivera's death was confirmed by the New England Society for Psychic Research, where he was the lead investigator. His exact cause of death remains unclear. Rivera, who is a fixture in the paranormal world, was doing what he loved, bringing spooky legends to life when tragedy hit. He built serious ghost hunting credibility and social media following off the eerie superstitions tied to Annabelle's haunted past. The Gettysburg stop, hosted by ghostly images of Gettysburg tours at the Soldiers National Orphanage, was a total sellout, packed for all 3 days from Friday through Sunday. He was just 54. This is absolutely creepy because it is known, according to the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, who both have passed, that Annabelle likely had a demon inside of her. The Raggedy Ann doll, not too pleasant, looks innocent enough, but I don't know. I mean, I really don't want to sit here and blame the Annabelle doll for this, but it is eerie. You know what I'm saying, Brent? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, my thought is that Ed and Lorraine Warren were pretty adamant that that doll should never go anywhere. It should just stay in its case in their museum, which was supervised by a Catholic priest with daily rituals, or at least weekly, and prayers and stuff. And I guess it's a publicity move, and maybe they were using it to generate revenue for the collection or whatever. I mean, it can't be cheap to keep housing that, but yeah, I mean, you're kind of throwing the dice on this stuff, especially if it's a demonic presence that's truly attached to that doll for whatever reason. It's just, you're kind of stirring a really dangerous pot. So I don't know. I mean, the whole haunted doll thing is really creepy. I did a deep dive along several years ago into dolls, and oddly enough, there's a strong suggestion in the historical references that dolls were never invented to be children playthings. They were in fact invented apparently to be vessels for spirits. And so it's, also one of the reasons that the Amish don't allow faces on their dolls, is because they feel that if it has a face, like eyes, nose, ear, eyes, nose, mouth, then you are inviting a spirit to harbor itself within it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, dolls are generally kind of creepy anyway, though, right?
Oh, I totally believe you on that one. Totally believe you on that one.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, for people who may not know who or what Annabelle is, Annabelle's story was told by originally the investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. It centers around a Raggedy Ann doll given to a student nurse in 1970. The dolls reported strange behavior like moving positions and leaving threatening message led to the Warrens to believe it was inhabited by a demonic entity, not just a child spirit. They enshrined the doll in their occult museum to prevent further harm. Now, a 28-year-old nursing student named Donna received the Anna Raggedy Ann doll as a birthday gift in 1970. Donna and her roommate Angie began noticing the doll moving on its own, changing positions, and appearing in different rooms. They contacted a medium who claimed the doll was inhabited by a spirit of a girl named Annabelle Higgins, who had died in the apartment building. Now, the Warrens later investigated and concluded the doll wasn't possessed by a child spirit, but rather manipulated by a malevolent demonic entity. The Warrens took the doll and placed it in their occult museum where it remains today, encased in a special glass case. So that is kind of a little bit of a history of these dolls. And I don't know whether or not there is something demonic in there or not, but the fact that it is on tour, being shown off, I mean, why wouldn't Annabelle want to maybe show her power a little bit? Probably not wanting to be a tourist attraction, so to speak, if it is indeed haunted, which I personally believe it is. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're expecting. I know they did. So the fact that this guy died could simply be a coincidence. I mean, people pass away all the time, and he just happened to be. It is suspect that he just happened to be part of the team moving Annabelle around. Of course, there was that plantation fire, and one other thing happened. Oh, the priest had disappeared for a while that was supervising it on this tour. So I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't probably be a prop to be hauling around going, hey, everybody, look. I can understand the logic of wanting to share this and let people know. And of course, after the Conjuring movies, of Annabelle's a hot property. This is the doll. This is the doll that launched that whole franchise of movies. And so, yeah, I mean, I suppose the timing is probably right for, in terms of marketing, but we're messing with stuff we just don't understand. And that's the scary part. Like, what are you doing? I mean, if let's say it was a demon with a leash on it, would you drag that around and show people too? and it's not much different, really, if it is truly a demonic entity inhabiting a piece of cloth. That's equally as dangerous.
Well, here's one of the things that we also have to look at. If you go south to Florida, where Robert the doll is, okay, Robert the doll literally will not allow you to take a photograph of him unless you ask permission.
Right.
And there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of letters that have been sent back to the museum asking Robert for forgiveness because these people feel they have been cursed. Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they've come down with disease or had a relationship end or gotten a car accident or whatever it may be, all because they didn't ask permission from Robert. Mm-hmm. And Robert has, I believe, been known, allegedly, to leave his curio cabinet to go find a toy. Nobody knows how that little lion got into his casing. Mm. It just happened, a little lion stuffed animal. Nobody knows how. But all of a sudden, one day, the employees came in there, and boom, it was in there. And they have no idea, even on camera, because Robert is on camera due to people potentially wanting to steal him. I think that would be a stupid idea for anybody to actually do that.
Yeah.
But you look at it, I mean, we're playing with something that we have no clue on, that we think is just a board game here.
Right.
And we're not playing with a board game with some of these dolls. I know up the road, up the highway by 2 hours, in one of the museums locally called the Quinnell Museum. Mandy the haunted doll is in a curio cabinet there, and the theory with her is if you stare at her too long, she will put you in a trance and then take control of you. And Merle, who we have on tomorrow night on the show, Merle was actually caught in that trance one day, and he was found walking towards the highway where cars were going by, and he had no clue how he got there.
Yeah.
So there does seem to be something to this, my man.
Yeah, there does. And I think it's very, very much the case for Annabelle too. If you stare at her too long, or for any amount of time, they say, don't look at her in the eyes. Don't look at her in the eyes. I'm not sure what the actual result of that is, but it's never good. The curious thing is how did it all get started? Like with all of these dolls, they seem to have been innocuous at the beginning, but then something found their way into it. I don't know if that's targeting a person or if it's just some entity wandering around going, hey, doll, cool, I've got some place to hang out now. It is kind of curious that, for whatever reason, I know that ritualistically dolls are used in a lot of esoteric or occult practices, and not always negative. There's a kind of doll that is utilized in some magical practices called a poppet. And that is a doll that you create kind of like a voodoo thing. And you use it as a shield. It's a facsimile of yourself, and the practitioners will create it in that way. Any negative curses or spells or anything like that will attack the doll rather than you personally. So it's a weird conundrum with these dolls, and what a powerful symbol they can become, whether they're harbingers of or residences of some malevolent entity or as tools in these esoteric practices. But it just seems really clear to me that these are not playthings,
No, they really aren't play toys, and I think it is something to be taken seriously. But one of the theories that I have regarding this is knowing that these dolls have a popular history. It makes me wonder how much more demonic or devilish these things have become because people have put energy into it, creating maybe an enlarged tulpa, which creates the energy that something bad is going to happen when these dolls are around. We've seen tulpas created before. Creepypasta stories that you can listen to on YouTube or any podcast download are great events of this. Nobody heard of Slender Man before this happened, or the Hat Man, or Siren Head.
Yeah.
And we do believe that those were all started by creepypasta stories, and with those stories freaking children out, and teenagers especially, the more energy you put into them actually creates a reality. We have a situation like that in my town, where we have at our museum a lady named Agnes McVie. We know Agnes McVie lived in the 1800s, late 1800s in our area. Okay. We don't have record of her being specifically in this town, though. But we knew she came over from Scotland. We knew she existed. We knew she came through British Columbia. And I will finish that story on tulpas when we return with the Golden Bee, Brett Thomas, filling in for Robin Haynes.
So this is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear, dude.
Groovy. That went quick.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast. Good times, my man.
Good topic, though. I think that one really does fascinate me, and it's one I've thought a lot about. It's really creepy. I actually bought it all, Dave.
Really?
Yeah. I can get her for the next segment if you want.
No, it's okay.
So I picked her up at a thrift store,
Mhm.
and I swear to God, she was looking at me from a shelf high on the wall. And it was it's a animal shelter store where they sell stuff and, to raise funds to take care of animals and rescue them and stuff. So we go there quite a bit. While I was in there with my wife and child, and I looked over and it was like, there's this little doll up on the shelf on the wall. And it was like, it was looking into my soul. I'm like, oh my God, look at the gaze on that thing. I said, that's really wild. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it'd be a cool addition to the studio because I have all kinds of weirdness behind me and I find it fun to keep adding stuff. But I went to the lady that worked there and I said, is the doll up there for sale? It was almost out of reach. She goes, yeah, everything's for sale. I said, oh, okay. Well, she said, but you'll have to get it. She was an older lady. She couldn't do it. So I went up and grabbed it, and there was a price tag on the leg and it said like $27, but it was a certain color. And the way it works at the store is that if it's a specific color that week, then you get like 50% off or more, 75% or whatever. So I pulled it down and I said, oh, cool. Well, it's also for sale on sale. And she goes, oh my God, because it was the right color. I ended up paying $4 for it. And she said, I don't understand. That doll should not have a sticker on it at all. It should just be a base price, but it's there. So I'll give it to you. So I brought her home, and she's this tattered old porcelain. I mean, the clothes are kind of weathered and tattered. I think she probably had long hair at one point, but some kid gave her a haircut. But I put her in the chair and over here, and she was sitting there staring straight ahead. And I kid you not, and I don't have it recorded. I don't have it on camera, but I just kind of would pass it by because as a matter of it just being in here. But I realized as she was sitting over there, suddenly her head was turned like this, and she's looking at the screen. And I was like,
well, there's nothing creepy about that. My God. Oh, no.
And I talked about it on my show. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, her head's looking this way. And I was like, oh my God. And I was thinking, well, if I was stuck in a doll, I'd probably want to watch something other than The Wall. So I guess.
Oh man, can you imagine if you let it sit in front of the television during an episode of The Waltons or Little House on the Prairie? That thing would become murderous.
or Poltergeist. Yeah, any number of things. Yeah. So I guess she likes to watch TV. I moved her over to the other chair after that, though. So she doesn't have a screen right now. I know she's crabby about that.
The ghost of B. Arthur in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's handmade though, because it doesn't even have a label, but it's an old porcelain doll. The thing is heavy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's creepy.
It is, man.
I don't have anything haunted in this studio. Don't want anything haunted in this studio. I already got a couple of ghosts in here. That's good enough.
I was just gonna say, I think by virtue of just doing these shows, things find us, because I have weird stuff happening here all the time.
Yep. I like it when I'm just sitting here doing nothing, and all of a sudden I'll see people in my chat room saying, "You got orbs."
Huh? Uh-oh.
Trying to figure out why your camera is so much clearer than mine.
It's a Logitech MX Brio. It's a 4K camera. But I used to have a 1080p camera, but it was just always fuzzy. So I upgraded and got this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah. I think it was like $200. It wasn't too bad, but
yeah,
I still think though getting a mirrorless DSLR would be better, but this is more affordable.
Yeah, because your camera looks so much better than mine.
Oh, yeah.
I hate how everything seems like a matte color in mine.
Yeah. It does. I mean, you do get a lot of hot spots from the lights, though, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on right there. Thank you to Emperor Penguin, Erica, Mama Catherine, T-Bone, my man, Michelle, Dutch Hank, and Bob for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love. And we're going to get going here in about 7 seconds. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Haunted dolls is the topic. You own one? I wouldn't. They just scare the living daylights out of me. B. Arthur is here. Yeah, we call the Golden Brett. Brent Thomas from the Paranormal Portal podcast filling in for Robin Haynes tonight. Before we bring Brent back on, we want to say hello to all of you tuning us in. Thank you for allowing us to entertain you in the night. And our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Brent Thomas, we call him the Golden Bee around here. Good to have you here from the Paranormal Portal podcast. You can find it on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe and ring that bell because it's one of the better shows out there for you to listen to. Welcome back, Brent.
Oh, thanks for having me, buddy. I'm really thrilled to be here. I was just so surprised, and it goes quick on my show too, but that last half hour was just a blink. I swear to God, I just logged in and it was already over.
Right? I know. It's so much. Tonight, the whole show has been that way.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, totally been that way. And sometimes you get those, before we get back into the whole Tulpa thing, don't you hate that when all of a sudden you're looking at the clock when you're hosting and all of a sudden it's like time is going backwards and you're like,
there's some
memo to people who want to be on this show. Okay. Memo. Answer the questions. When you are doing a radio show or a podcast, answering with yes or no, and that is your final answer, does not work. We need you to paint a picture for our audience of what you're doing. I actually, a couple months ago, had a guest write me up a letter of complaint, first time ever, after I interviewed her, because she was giving very short answers, not really painting a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts in that letter telling me how she has done many, many, many shows, and I'm the first one to ever complain about her answers. And I'm thinking about it. I didn't even bother with a response. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying, I asked you to just paint a picture for our audience. Expand on your answers because they're interesting.
Yeah.
And if you take it that, I am trying to insult you, you're not worth my time. Because number one, it's my show. I'm gonna pull a little bit of Dave ego here, which I rarely do. But number one, it's my show. And number two, I only speak for a bunch of people, thousands upon thousands of people who want an answer. So that person is now a one and done, as we call in this business.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are the toughest interviews for sure.
Never had it. Never had that before.
Oh.
Never had that before. And look, sometimes I give it up to just nerves.
Sure.
Okay. Some people get nervous. But man, holy cow. Yeah, she tore a strip off me on email.
Those are the hard ones. And there's I've always said there's three types of interviews. There's the people that basically all you got to do is introduce them and they're off to the races. They take you on this robust journey and all you have to do is sit back and sip because they'll run the show. And then there's the people that you have conversations with, much like when you and I are talking. We're back and forth. We're exchanging ideas. And then there's the question answers. So were you scared when that happened? Yes. And you just going, and you gotta pull it from them, and those are the tough ones. Those are the ones you really have to work at.
I once had a guest where I asked 32 questions in the first half hour of the show.
Oh man.
Okay. Now think about that for a second, people. 32 questions in the first half hour of the show. The segment is only 24 minutes long. After my intro.
Wow.
32 questions. I'm like, I rarely will ask 32 questions in a night, let alone in the first half hour.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. Memo to people, answer your questions. That's all we ask as interviewers. Let's get back to the tulpa theory. So up here at our local museum,
mm-hmm.
we have this lady named Agnes McVie, who is allegedly a spirit there. Many people claim they have communicated with her, including Merle. We know she existed as a human. We know she came from Scotland under mysterious circumstances. It is alleged that she may have been running away from murdering a couple of people.
Ooh.
Way back in the 1800s. We know there is record of her stepping foot in British Columbia in the former capital of New Westminster. We know there is logged information about Agnes south of us 2 hours in a place called Kamloops. But there is no legal record of her ever coming up here. Now, the theory is Agnes ran what we called a post house. So a post house back in the 1800s, early 1900s, was pretty much a hostel for the gold miners going up to the Klondike to try and find their riches. And allegedly, her and her crew ran the local post house. And in return for the men coming down, they would drink them until they were drunk. Then they would rob them of their gold and kill them.
Oh.
And allegedly, they threw their bodies in the lake that is right outside, a couple miles down the road from SOR headquarters here, or they buried the bodies. Now, there is no proof of 62 men being murdered in this area, but there wouldn't have been proof because during that time, there was no police force in Canada.
Oh.
And that was actually the start of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, back then known as the Northwest Mounted Police. And they weren't even armed. Yeah, they just rode horses and said, "Be good, people. Be good Canadians." Right? So, I have always, as somebody who's investigated there, probably the most out of anybody, I did some digging. And I found out that when this area was developed, they needed something. The realty company that was developing this area wanted a legend because they were trying to make this area into a cottage type area like they have in Minnesota or like they have in Ontario, where people go to the lake or they have that country cabin or country house, because back then you could afford to own two houses, especially when you're paying like $17,000 to $25,000 a house and not $500,000 today.
Yeah.
So they wanted a legend for the area. So it was alleged that the real estate company created the legend of Agnes McVie. And I know people who started that.
Oh.
So when it comes down to it, Brent, I believe that Agnes McVie is a tulpa because everybody goes to the museum and asks whether or not Agnes McVie exists. The museum is 35 years old, and they want to have that legend going. So they put energy into it. And when you're talking to a spirit, you don't know really who you're communicating with.
Right.
So any spirit on the other side may say, "I'm Agnes McVie." Boo! But I'm in the minority of people around here who think that.
I think there's definitely something to that. There's like, even with Myrtle's Plantation, a lot of the legends of Myrtle's Plantation can't be verified historically. They can find no record for a lot of that. And yet the phenomena seems to meld according to the expectations. And there was an experiment that was done, I think it was in Canada actually, but I might be wrong, by some researchers, the Philip experiment.
Yeah, that was in Ontario.
Yeah, and they created this entity, and they gave them a backstory, and they worked on it, meditated on it, sent it energy, and sure enough, as they were investigating, Philip started showing up and started answering according to his narrative, and it was fascinating that, by all accounts, there was no Philip ever, but there became one because that was the direction that the intention was directed at that. So I think it speaks to our ability to even subconsciously manifest things in our lives. I think we all know somebody that, someone in your life that, man, doesn't seem to matter what they do. They just know everything's going to go to hell for them. And sure enough, things go to hell for them. And while some of that might just be, that's just the way you're handling life, but what if they are manifesting that too? So I'm a firm believer that there probably a good percentage of hauntings are created by people investigating.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And look, we don't know who we're communicating with. Right. It's not always, Grandma Dorothy. It's not always Mama Phillips. Okay. It's not always, Grandpa Bill. Mm-hmm. It is always something that we don't really know whom we're communicating with. Now, psychic people, intuitive people may have a little bit of an upper hand on that, because of their intuition and because of what they practice. But for the majority of paranormal investigators out there, they have no idea what they're dealing with.
Right.
And when I switch into research mode on this side of the ledger, where we're investigating Flight 21, we don't know who we're communicating with.
Right.
Like the EVP we got the other day on my microphone when Tim was literally walking, in the Estes method, and we're firefighters, dummy.
Oh, wow.
Clear as day. We're firefighters, dummy. I didn't expect firefighters to be out in the middle of the forest because there is no record that I've found of firefighters dying in that area. Mm-hmm. Now, were there firefighters putting out the fires of the crash site? Sure there were. Sure there were. Were they those people that went back because it was traumatic for them? We don't know. Right? We don't know.
It's fascinating.
So that's why, like, getting back to the original topic of this with the haunted dolls, this is where I wonder if a lot of these dolls are gaining power every day because of the energy people put on them. And when you have them on display and you have them there for people to oogle over and like, oh my God, and don't take a picture. Don't take a picture because he will haunt you. Mm-hmm. He will curse you, Robert will. Or Mandy will put you into a trance, or Annabelle will try to kill you.
Yeah.
Well, you're putting energy into that thought, and that's where we have the whole tulpa aspect of everything, Brent.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly generating fear around something is definitely feeding it, especially if it's a negative entity. I think that, fear is a surrender, and I think that it also projects onto what we're afraid of. Certainly you can see at least a little bit of an aspect of that just in the most bullies. They become more bullyish when you're afraid of them. Well, I think a lot of these a lot of these negative spirits, they may feed on this stuff, and whatever you feed on is going to make you stronger. So and there's no shortage of fear surrounding these objects, people being tentative and afraid and cautious, and it's almost like an acquiescence or a surrender to the object. It's like, I'm afraid of you, you have power. And I think that there's something definitely in all of this with spiritual stuff about permission. And I think when you allow yourself to be afraid of something, it is an acquiescence or a surrender to that thing to have power over you. And, I realize that's maybe an esoteric thought, but, if you think of hauntings, they start out really, really mostly almost unnoticeable. A lot of hauntings start out with just a strange noise. What the hell is that? And then the noises maybe get a little stronger. So now it becomes a concern and you start to feel worried about it. And maybe there's something about that, fear is a form of permission for things to happen to you. Does that make sense?
I think when you allow it in, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you may not even know that you're allowing it in.
Right. Yeah.
Right. David Weatherly gave me a long private phone call about that exact same thing, because I have a fear of gnomes.
Oh, yeah.
I just find them creepy.
Yeah.
And he said to me one day, he called me up. He's like, Dave, we need to have a serious talk. And I thought I was in trouble with him. Right. And I said, about what? He goes, I've been thinking about you for a while and wanting to talk to you about this. He goes, but you need to stop mentioning on the air that you're absolutely terrified and hate gnomes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, why? He goes, because they are tricksters.
Mm.
They will come and they will do things to you. It may be very subtle, okay, but all of a sudden, your vehicle stops working. Or all of a sudden, glass breaks in your house. Or all of a sudden, you lose your car keys, never to see them again, or wallet, or all of a sudden, you're on your walkway going to your vehicle, and there's a stone sticking up, and you trip and fall, and you rip your best pair of pants. Whatever it may be, or worse,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, right? He goes, you can't keep putting negative energy out there that you hate them and everything. So one of the things he mentioned was bring gnomes into the studio. I've got right now in the studio, I think I've got 8 or 9 gnomes in here.
Okay.
Right? I don't fear them anymore.
Good.
But I needed that wake-up call in order to make sure that I wasn't being an idiot and trying to self-sabotage myself, like you were just talking about, regarding these little beings, these creatures. So, and I don't think a lot of people really understand how dangerous that is, Brent.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly, giving something power over you is a very dangerous prospect, because you're saying whatever you are, like with hauntings, you're giving them space, whether expressed or implied. And in my opinion, implied is the fear. When you're afraid of something, you're giving it a sense of permission to not only do what it's doing, but to do more. It's a horribly nasty cycle.
It really is. And this is why I think paranormal people who are blowing up social media on YouTube especially are really, trying to act all brave and tough and brazen, and that graveyard doesn't scare me, or that, throw that glass at me. You just threw a glass onto the floor. Throw that glass at me. When you're inviting bad things like that to happen to you, that's where you just need maybe to get your paranormal butt kicked.
Amen. Yep. Don't challenge these things.
And I think we do that a little bit too much.
Sure.
We're challenging. Look, it's okay to ask, to push on questions a little bit. Hey, I need an answer from you.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, we're having a conversation. Give me an answer, please. But it's another thing when you walk in there trying to be the man or the boss of everything, where nobody's going to tell you what to do. You're going to demand from these spirits that they, show themselves or take pictures or invade your body and channel through you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like when you go in making such demands, I couldn't even imagine. Well, I can't imagine because I'm not dead. Okay. But I couldn't even imagine what it's like to have or to be a spirit that's tapped into its power and knows how to manipulate the time-space continuum.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy talk.
My pet peeve is when investigators goes, use my power, use my energy. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Don't do that. Don't do that. It's just a green light.
Yeah. Dave's done that a couple of times in bringing spirits out of people and into me to get them clean.
Oh, wow.
Then the difference is I know people who could clear me ASAP, whereas they don't have anybody but me there.
Sure.
So
it's a selfless act, that's for sure. But again, you also know what you're doing.
Or I like to think I do, but whether or not that's the truth, I don't know.
Sure.
Tell everybody where they can find Paranormal Portal Podcast.
You can find all about my show at paranormalportal.net, and it'll explain to you about the YouTube channel and the live streaming, as well as the podcast, which are two very different shows, but hopefully wonderful shows that you want to check out.
And hit subscribe. Spread Thomas from the Triple P as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, like we drag Brent along, yeah, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Brent.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yep. I'll give you a couple of claps for that. Hold on.
I'll take it. I'll take it, man.
It's all good.
That was fun.
July 15, 25.
That was a good discussion, though.
Good topic, though.
Yeah, it was.
How'd your stream go?
Good. Good. I just did a member stream tonight just to try to give them something to want to stick around for.
Right. Do you do that once a week? Just the members
probably,
only?
I probably should, but I basically do it bi-weekly usually. I think I'm going to move up to once a week. It's easy enough to do.
Mm-hmm. So when you're putting that on YouTube for your private, do you just, how do you mark it? Because you got private, you got.
Well, if you have members, you can select members only. So
Okay.
YouTube will know if they're a channel member and give them access. Yeah. So it keeps it just to them. Actually worked with a ghost app on the line on tonight from my phone and talked about ghost apps and investigating a little bit.
Oh, what do you think of those?
I think they're fine. I think that you can't expect that everything is spit out is actually relevant. Like some people use them and they're like everything it says, they're like acting like it's right from a spirit. And I think a lot of times it's just a cycle in the algorithm of the program that'll spit out things. But sometimes you get some scary relevant stuff and it's like, wow, that doesn't make sense. How did it say that at that time?
You know what I love is like when we put out the video with Tim
Mhm.
A couple weeks ago, there was a couple critics complaining that we, the Estes method doesn't work. Why are you wasting your time?
Oh,
What they don't understand, because they're armchair critics, is up here we have 2 radio stations.
yeah.
We have 1 FM, 1 AM.
Oh,
And being in a small town, you know how big their signal is?
yeah, pretty
Very
weak.
small.
Yeah.
And when we're in the forest, there is no radio signal.
Really? Okay.
So when you're doing the Estes method and you're going through the FM dial and it's going, you hear the static with the
Yep. Mhm.
okay, there is no voice interruption. So
Right.
anything that comes through is not from a radio station.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's seriously then that's just really white noise.
Yes.
Yep.
So, it's like funny because like I have people who I who I know, they absolutely hate K2 meters. Hate them.
Oh,
They
really?
think, oh, that's the biggest joke going. It's a stud finder, whatever. Yeah, I know.
Mm.
Yet for me, I have success with them.
Yeah, I
There's
have
and
absolutely.
once again, when you're in the middle of the forest where there's no cell phone service or rarely cell phone service,
Mhm.
and you got your phones ways away from those meters to the point where they can't affect them, and you see the lights going off and there's no electric current
Right.
going around in the forest. They don't have pipelines there. They don't have, power poles. They don't have anything,
When
and all
they
of a sudden they start going off.
Yeah.
You know that it's kind of for real.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that I always try to do is when I'm investigating is use a lot of different things, like a lot of different types of sensors. I got this yes, no detector. That's a proximity sensor. So you get either, it's a pyramid shaped thing and you get either green or red. And then I use a K2 and then I use like a temperature sensor and like a REM pod, which is also a different kind of proximity sensor. And when you get hits on multiple of those devices, that's pretty potent. That means something is triggering in several different ways. So I think that's very powerful.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So is what it is. My man, I got to go edit.
Amen. Thanks for letting me on and had a great talk with you, brother.
I'll give you a call on Friday, like we talked about earlier.
Okay. Sounds perfect.
All right, buddy.
All right. Good night.
B. Arthur, everybody. The golden one, Brent Thomas from the Paranormal Portal podcast. Make sure you check it on out. Look at that mustache. That's A-grade lip blade right there. A-grade lip blade. There's a T-shirt for you right there, Brent.
I'll whip one up. Thanks, brother. Take care, buddy.
All right. Take care, buddy. All right. Let's see here. Good old B. B. Arthur. I like him. Good guy. I could get Josh Rutledge on again. I haven't chatted with him in a while. I love that guy. The golden bee right there. David Kanyak, you haven't made sense all night, man. You weren't eating lead paint chips for supper, were you? Just curious. You didn't go down to, the local health food store and pick up some of them lead paint chips? Put a little dressing on them. GBGB Kyle, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Ranch. Chips in Ranch, that's right. I have tried dowsing rods. I like using dowsing rods. I'm concerned about everybody, David. Concerned about everybody. Because I care about my audience. I do. Peel some potatoes. Oh, yeah, man. I like a good tater. Unless I'm making mashed potatoes, I much prefer those smaller little potatoes, that are like only about that big. I like those ones. They have so much more flavor. Don't you find? Rather than getting the big russet potatoes or the red potatoes. Oh, no problem, Pocket Watch. What is your favorite type of potato? And if anybody says FAP, the FAP potato, why would I let you delete? What did you put here? You can delete your own comment. You don't need me for anything like that. The small ruby red potatoes are good. I like a good asparagus too. I'm an asparagus guy. I like eating mushrooms too. Not the hallucinogenic ones. Why did your name just get thrown in there? Because I can, Fappy. I can. That's why. I'm that guy.
To Spaced Out.
Yes, OR Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello.
All right. Does anybody really eat artichoke hearts? I don't even know what an artichoke heart is. Just sounds gross. You know how people complain about pineapple being put on pizza? You know what's worse? Shrimp on pizza. Shrimp on pizza is a terrible choice. It really is. Excuse me. Bacon stuffed with wrapped stuffed green chili. Oh my God, that does sound good. Who literally puts shrimp on their pizza? And if you're one of those people, what is wrong with you? Oh man, cheesesteak sub it sounds good. What is wrong with you, GB Kyle? Shrimp, artichoke, pineapple, and potato pizza with ranch. I would eat this, but without the shrimp. Like, I like eating shrimp. I do. I like eating shrimp. All right? I do. But not on pizza. Not on pizza at all. That's a no-no. Mike Bothwell, there he is. They call him Little Mikey Bothwell in his hometown. I like turnips. Turnips are good. Fap, you don't eat anything unless it's deep fried. River Dog, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Oh, Mike Bothwell, you're going to love Def Leppard. All right, everybody. Tomorrow night, we got Merle on the show. Merle. Warm it up for tomorrow night. Thank you to Emperor Penguin, Erica, Mama Catherine, T-Bone, my man, Michelle, Dutch Hank, and Bobbert. We appreciate it. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell, and share it with a friend if you don't mind. We'd love to add more each and every night because we are here for you. So thank you very much for all of you being here tonight. Have a good one. I will personally see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.